Hi there, it's Bike Touring Mike here. One of the questions I get asked most about is going on solo bike tours. And since most of my bike tours are just that, solo bike tours, I've got a lot of experience in this area. So I figured I would take this time to talk about the aspects of going on a solo bike tour and maybe encourage you to go on a solo bike tour of your own. And as a bonus, I figured I would talk about my solution to the whole visiting a supermarket while on a solo tour problem. So make sure to stick around to the end of the video to hear my solution on that problem. So one of the biggest benefits of going on a solo tour is that you can pretty much decide everything by yourself. You don't have to compromise anything. And since maybe you and your potential touring partner are a bit different, let's say one of you is a morning person and the other is an evening person, to be able to match your daily schedules can be a bit of a hassle sometimes. And you also have the aspect of maybe one of you just want to put in the miles while the other one wants to stop and smell the roses, take in the sights and maybe visit a nice restaurant. So when you go on a tour by yourself, you can decide all those things. And I also hear these stories all the times about people trying to go on that special bike tour with a touring partner, but for some reason the plans keep getting postponed all the time. So instead of waiting for that potential touring partner, I suggest you reconsider going on a solo tour. I can promise you won't regret making that decision. One of the best things about touring alone is the freedom. Maybe you find that detour that looks awesome and you don't have to check in with your touring partner or your group to make sure everybody's in for putting in those extra miles to go that extra stretch of road. If you feel like pushing it and going for that 100 kilometer a day or just taking it slow and staying around camp most of the day, you don't have to ask the people around you. You can just make that decision for yourself. One of the questions I get asked all the time is, don't you get lonely being out there by yourself? And the answer is actually no. Usually I have these really long days on the bike, and once I get to camp I have a lot of chores to do, such as making dinner and pitching the tent. And when all that is done, I usually hit the sleeping mat and fall asleep in a couple of minutes. Another trick to avoid getting lonely is to stay in contact with your loved ones, both for their sake and for yourself. It's a sense of comfort for them to know that you're fine out there. And there's also a security aspect in this. It's important that other people are aware of where you're at and where you're going the next day. So just pick up that phone and call your family member or friend and let them know that you're okay. If you're traveling in a group, it's more of a hurdle for a stranger to come up and speak to you. You might already be in a conversation with your touring partner, so they might feel like they're interrupting your discussion and skip out on talking to you. You're also more likely to run into other solo travelers when you're traveling alone, and they might be the most interesting people you'll ever meet. One thing I really encourage you to do is to enjoy the solitude when you're out on a solo bike tour. We all live such hectic lives these days. So just be out in nature by yourself is such a privilege. At least that is my situation. Being the father of 3 and basically working 2 jobs means that I don't really have much time for myself. Don't get me wrong here, I really love my kids and my wife, but those special times out by myself really makes me recharge my batteries. I think I'm a better father and husband when I finally get back home again. One thing you have to realize though is if you're going on a solo bike tour, you might run into some mechanical problems with your bike, and since you're all by yourself, you're probably gonna have to fix it yourself. So it's always nice to be able to master those basic maintenance skills, such as cleaning your chain, changing a flat tire, removing the bike pedals, and adjusting the seat and handlebar positions. Most of the time you're capable of doing a lot more than you might think, and it's always a nice self-esteem booster to realize that you're not relying on other people. I think one of the things people fear the most about going on a solo bike tour is how to solve that supermarket stop. And the answer to this is to be organized and prepared. So before you arrive at the supermarket, make sure that you have all your valuables in one pannier or one handlebar bag. So when you finally arrive at the supermarket, you just pull up, quickly lock the bike and grab the pannier and walk in. If you're standing around fiddling with your bike lock and reorganizing things in different panniers, you're just gonna attract attention from people. So if you do this in a quick and smooth way, nobody's gonna be paying attention to you. Another tip is to plan what you're thinking about buying in the supermarket before you go in, so you have a pretty decent idea of what you're looking for. My golden rule is never to take more than 5 minutes inside of a supermarket. I also look for supermarkets that have a glass window so that I'm able to see my bike from the cashier when it's parked just outside of the supermarket. Lidl stores here in Europe always have these glass windows, so I usually tend to shop at Lidl when I'm out bike touring. Another benefit of shopping at Lidl is that almost every Lidl supermarket is laid out in the same way. So even though I'm touring in Provence, France, that Lidl store feels exactly the same as the Lidl store here in my hometown does. So I'm quickly able to find whatever I'm looking for. Do you prefer going on a solo tour or a tour with a travel partner or a group? You can let me know in the comments down below. If you want to watch one of my latest solo tours, the one I did in Provence, France last year, you can just click the link up in the corner here. Otherwise, until next time, have a good one. If you're traveling in a group, it's more of a hurdle. So stick around to the end to hear my solution to that